second place overall, separated by a point. From Vermont, Ryan Largan.
Gotta wait till they call your name. Yeah, your name.
Holy shit.
Who's your husband?
Brian Alsruhe.
That's exactly
It's like balls without the B.
And your national champion.
Back in place.
Middleweight men, 200-pound weight class. From Maryland.
Yeah. Yeah, Nick.
These 7 men are going to the Arnold.
Uncle Nick! What is happening, people? It is Brian Alsruhe.
That's water.
Weren't expecting that, were you? People, what's going on? It's Brian Alsruhe, NEVERsate.com, and while we're on our drive down to Jujumafu, Coach Joe, Uncle Nick, and myself have all been sitting here talking for literally probably like 5-6 hours, have had some awesome talks, and then we realized that it'd probably be a good idea to share some of those talks with you. So, Coach Joe is going to be taping Uncle Nick. I'm just going to ask some questions about nationals, and we'll see what happens.
Joe's going to be checking that glove box for some napkins.
Oh, yeah. All right, Uncle Nick. So, you just won the national championships. You got to feel pretty good about it. So, tell us a little bit about it. Tell us about your training going up to it, what you did, what you would have done differently, what went well, what didn't go well about your training, and then we'll talk about nationals. Did you have a good time at nationals?
Yeah, I did.
You should if you win.
I went into it with realistic to me expectations of, I was hoping for top 10. I'd have been ecstatic. I did not expect to walk away with a first place finish. The leading up to it, it was all his programming. So his programming worked. NEVERsate.com.
Thank you, Nick. Shameless plug.
But it was really a pleasant surprise. I honestly, I know there's bigger, fast, strong guys out there. I'm the strongest guy that showed up. So there's more that I want to do, more that I want to get done. There's other guys out there that I'm chasing. So it keeps me hungry. I definitely want more. I don't want to be the big fish in a small pond. So it's.
Do you feel like you need to work on your conditioning or your strength or technique?
Everything. I mean, my conditioning is probably what saved my behind at nationals, being that I can afford to give 110% every single lift and bounce back and do it again on the next event. There were stronger guys out there statically. I think I may have won the yoke. I'm not sure, but it came down to consistency, and I didn't zero anything. I finished top 3, top 4 in every single event, and that is what allowed me to, I mean, the finish came down to a point difference between first, second, and third, and it was just, the main thing is being consistent, and I think that's the biggest thing, not being a one-trick pony.
Is there anything you would have changed about your training on the way, like getting ready for it? I mean, your training went very well because you ended up winning, but I mean, we're always trying to get better. So is there anything that you would have been like, I should have focused more on fill in the blank? If not, that's okay too.
Maybe more events sooner.
Yeah.
Would have been the only thing I would have changed. That would really about be it. Just to get. I mean, the more you get familiar with those movements come game day. Not necessarily with the weight, but with the movement of an implement or something similar to the implement being used, just coming down to being prepared, I guess.
Coming from the national champion, what advice would you give somebody who's going to their first nationals, doing their first competition, doing whatever? Like, what advice would you try to impart? Because you've done quite a few strongman competitions, but you're still relatively new in the sport. You've probably only been in, what, like 2 years?
Yeah, going on 2 years.
So 2 years, you've probably done 10, 12 competitions.
9 or 10.
9 or 10. So what advice would you give to people who are looking at doing their first competition or just getting a little more advanced in their strongman game?
First competition. So getting into the first competition, I would say enjoy the experience, pay attention, have fun with it. Because it's your first comp. It will be, I remember everything about my first comp, and make it a memory. Make it a memory that you look back and enjoy, because the further you get into your strongman career, the more you're gonna look back at your first comp and be like, what an idiot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it'll make you laugh. Going into, like, someone going into nationals, you're as strong as you are. Don't worry about the points, don't worry about the score, just focus on each event as they come, because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's one event at a time, and it doesn't matter what anybody else is gonna pick up. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. You can't don't rely on other competitors' performance. Just run what you brung.
Yeah. What was your favorite experience at nationals? Like, hands down, favorite experience?
Hands down.
And this could be food. This does not need to be about nationals.
Hands down, my favorite experience was actually
when I kissed you. When I kissed him.
I actually, like,
you guys kissed?
I actually had to. No.
Like, straight kissed him. I straight kissed him. What did I ask you before?
It was like an eel in my mouth.
Okay, so when we were, I kept trying to record people, and I couldn't get into a recording position because there were so many people just packed around watching. And Nick was getting ready to go, and I needed to record Nick. So I told people, I was like, hey, can I get up there? That's my husband. I need to go record him. And apparently at a strongman competition, when you tell people that your husband's getting ready to compete, and you look like me, people get out of your way pretty quick. So everyone just moved out of the way. And my wife actually said, your husband? And I was like, yeah, you're my wife. He's my husband. So he went to do that. Anyway, right before he got called up at the banquet to receive his national championship award and title and everything, I'm recording him, and I say, hey, I said something about you being my wife or me being your husband or something, and then I kissed you.
Yeah, well, you kissed me afterwards when we were standing. I
kiss you all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mouth hugs. It was actually after we were taking pictures, and I think your wife, or it was Kat, took a picture of me and you, and then you played it.
Yeah, that's what I did. So what was your favorite experience from nationals? So other than that, obviously.
I kind of had two. So Thursday night after the rules meeting, is that when the rules meeting was? Thursday night?
Yeah, something like that.
I was going back to the hotel room, and it was me and Galen, and there was this guy pedaling himself backwards in a wheelchair. And I was like, that's a tough way to get around Vegas. So I asked him where he was going, and he had cerebral palsy. He couldn't talk. He had to point to letters on this little board he had, and he had a very severe case of cerebral palsy. He could barely speak. He could say like yes and no, and that was it. And I ended up spending like the next 2 hours just pushing this guy around Vegas where I needed to go and just talking to him. His name was Steve. He was actually a really cool guy, and like everybody knew him. He was like a Vegas strip celebrity. Like everybody's like, "What's up, Steve?" And then he points to his thing and spells out, "I'm the man around here." And I was like, "Oh!" Like all the girls in their feathers, like wearing virtually nothing, with their boobs hanging out and stuff. They were all saying hi to him. I was like, "Steve, Steve, you are the man."
He's the man.
But that was a really fun night. He was just a really cool guy, and got to know him a little bit and pushed him around Vegas in his wheelchair. It was a lot of fun.
So before the biggest competition of your entire life, rather than like mentally preparing, you were like, you know what? I want to help this dude out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that you won because you're focused on the right things.
And it was, it just kind of lets you check out with all the nerves, like,
yeah. And
it just allowed you to have an interaction with another.
Not to mention the fact that no one remembers the name of the national champion. No one.
No.
Right?
No.
But that's a memory that dude's going to remember for the rest of his life. You're going to remember for the rest of your life.
I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. It's not about lifting heavy things or titles.
And then I think the second moment was when they were announcing when they got to third place at the banquet, and it was like a pause, and then they said the state, and then they said like Richie. Yeah, was it Richie Stout?
I don't know.
They announced
I just remember you and I,
but it wasn't
like
me.
Schoolgirls.
And I was like, and then there was a really long pause, which seemed like it turned him second place, and then I remember them saying from Vermont, and at that point, like
you knew.
My jaw hit the floor, and I was like, no way.
Yeah, that was an awesome moment, man.
And then they got the first place, and they're like, from Maryland. And I was like, holy shit. And I went up there, and like it was just a surreal experience, the whole banquet, and I couldn't believe it was happening because one, it was my first nationals, and two, I didn't think Uncle Nick was going to be standing up on the first place podium at his first nationals. So it was definitely surreal. Like it was definitely a very vivid, and will always be a vivid memory of that point in my life, especially with everybody that came out there and everybody that supported me along the way. Brian, Galen, Dave, Billy, Kat, all those guys, the NEVERsate family. It was just a really good experience, and being there with everybody to share that with will mean so much to me for the rest of my life.
Conversely, what was your worst experience at nationals, other than my favorite part of nationals was probably when I got in a fight and looking at Nick's face when I was getting in a fight. I've never seen Nick so ready to do something. I'm not gonna go into the story of me getting in a fight at nationals, but I got in a fight with somebody that I should not have gotten in a fight with, and while it was going on, Nick was standing right next to me, and Nick and I know each other pretty well at this point, and Nick saw it kind of flip over that I was going into like jerk mode, and Nick was just ready to pounce. It was awesome. It was absolutely terrific.
My strategy wasn't to get Brian off of him. My strategy was to get the guy away from Brian as fast as I could. So
it was a good time. So what was your worst, other than that?
Than getting kissed by you?
Don't even lie. You know that's a lie. But there were a couple things at nationals where it wasn't, to be as political, as nice as possible, it wasn't run super well. So there's a whole lot of that stuff that we get into, but let's not go into that. Just tell me, like, your worst experience. Actually, my favorite is probably Billy falling over the Roosevelt Center.
Oh, I couldn't believe that. And I was chafing so bad.
You were chafing bad, and you had that cool old lady hot tub experience.
Oh yeah, that was awkward. So I took my comp shorts off, and I had spandex on, like Under Armour spandex. Well, they're yellow, like neon yellow, and it was me and Galen. So I'm like, I'm just gonna take my comp shorts off and get spandex, because it's the same material, board shorts basically. Well, I go to stand up, you can see straight through them, and I sit back down, and then all these old ladies come into the hot tub, and I'm like, how do I want to do this? So of course Galen thinks it is the funniest thing ever. And she's like, you gonna get out? I was like, nope.
I'm comfortable.
And it wasn't even the old ladies, it was that there was like a 6-year-old little girl.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. I was like, I can't do that. The old ladies, you know, I'd give them a show, but not the little girl. I'm gonna scar her for the rest of her life, and I don't know if I can sleep at night knowing that. So I had Galen toss me my board shorts into the jacuzzi, or my comp shorts into the jacuzzi, so I could get out and then yeah, walk back to my room.
If you could go back, let's say to your, I don't know, 12-year-old self, and give yourself some advice from 12 till now that you think has substantially changed, that you wish that someone would have came up and told you when you were 12, like how to be a better man, how to be a better human being, what would you tell them?
If you guys want to really strengthen your shoulders, hold a camera for 13 minutes. There's your training tip of the day.
12-year-old me, I would say stick to it. You know, there was a lot happened in my life between 12 and the time I joined in the military. So I would say I would tell 12-year-old me, it will get better. You just have to earn your stripes. That's the big. Just get, like Brian said, get comfortable being uncomfortable and embrace the suck. It will get better. Just keep chugging.
All right, final question, unless you had anything else you want to cover, but final question, what is your next steps, man? I know you're always setting goals, you're always doing new things. You just got your pilot's license for your helicopter. That was a huge goal that finally got realized. Just won the national championships, you're going to the Arnold. But as far as goals, it doesn't need to be gym related, it can be life, it can be anything. What's your future hold, man?
Obviously the Arnold is what's really on my radar right now. That's the biggest blip I got. So I'm trying not to look too far past that with that opportunity. I know I'm going up against bigger, stronger guys, So I'm just gonna go out there and just focus on one event at a time. But as of right now, it's between the Arnold and just wrapping school up, buttoning that up and getting done with all that. But outside of that, it's really, I'm tunnel vision on the Arnold right now. I just want to go out there and not embarrass myself, and just no matter how I finish, just have that be the best performance I've ever had.
Yes. All right, man. So, guys, that is the national championship. Mr. Nikolai Myers, you guys know him as Uncle Nick. Make sure you guys are following him on YouTube and on Instagram. I will leave the links to those down below. Guys, I'm so excited about the opportunities that we have going on. Coach Joe, Nick, and I all going down to visit Juju Mafu and Tom. It's going to be a terrific time. Guys, we're just trying to get some awesome content, trying to give you guys what you want. I do really appreciate you taking time to do this, Nick, and Joe holding up the camera the entire time. He's had the hardest job. But guys, until I see you again, go out, do something amazing, realize, keep working hard, be nice to each other, and we'll catch you in North Carolina. We're already in North Carolina.
North Carolina.